This exercise is going to work on your end range shoulder extension so you can build active flexibility, or also known as mobility, of shoulder extension so that you can do things like push-ups and dips and just reach behind you for things when you are doing things like driving. So what you're gonna need is a box or table and a PVC or dowel rod. You don't necessarily need this, but I tend to like it. I think it's a little bit easier to get into the position. So what you're going to do is start with putting the dowel rod in your hands. Now, I'm gonna go through how to make this harder or easier. I want you to pick the position and the way of doing it where you can feel the right sensation and is not too intense. We wanna progress intensity over time, not shock the system with too much intensity too quickly. That is recipe for an injury. So when we are doing this, harder is going to be hands closer together, easier will be out further. The different positions might also change what you feel in your sensation. So know that you might have to be exploratory in these types of movements with stretches. So then you're going to place your hands and the dowel rod on the table or box behind you, and then sink into a nice deep stretch. So I'm kind of getting my arms into shoulder extension actively as I'm reaching back here until I find a stretch, or until you can find a stretch through the fronts of your shoulders, maybe into your chest a little bit, but actively feeling that. We should not feel any pinching in the backs of the shoulders. If you do, this is not something you should be doing. You are not ready for this. Don't push into that, and it should not be painful. Once you're in the stretch, you're gonna hold the stretch. Either skip it if it says in your program, or then you're going to the PAILs rails, or you're gonna hold this and actively kind of breathe through it, kind of breathing in through your chest, in through your nose. As you inhale, you're expanding your chest and feeling an increased stretch. As you exhale, you're just sinking into the stretch a little more. As you're sitting here, you should be holding the stretch anywhere from about 30 to 60 seconds to start ramping up that time towards 2 minutes. And then once your time is up for the day, you're going to start with your PAILs and rails contractions. So PAILs is going to be thinking about trying to press down into the box. So like I'm trying to pull the box down into the ground and into me. You should feel those muscles on the front of your shoulders kind of working, maybe your biceps a little bit too. And you're gonna actively press a little bit harder, and you're gonna slowly turn the volume dial up on that intensity. So start light, then press a little bit harder, and you're gonna increase the intensity up to until you get to the desired amount. So it might be a moderate intensity, it might be low, just if that's what you can tolerate, or you might be going up to a max intensity. You're gonna ramp that up over 10 to 15 seconds. Then you're gonna hold for the desired amount of time, which is somewhere probably around 10 to 15 seconds. And then you're gonna relax and ramp it back down. That is your PAILs contraction. Now we're gonna do rails, where you're gonna stay upright, but you're gonna try to lift your arms off the box. It's not gonna go anywhere. You're pulling yourself deeper into a stretch, and you should feel your shoulder blades kind of coming back and your arms trying to lift without leaning forward and using your neck. We wanna stay upright. You're just feeling those muscles contract as much as possible. You should feel maybe a little bit of triceps cramping and back of the shoulder work, muscles working. You're gonna start light, just like we did for PAILs, and then ramp that intensity up as well, slowly over time. Again, probably about 10 to 15 seconds, and then hold the desired amount, desired intensity for the amount of time you're supposed to as well, which is probably gonna be 10 to 15 seconds. And then once that is up, you're gonna relax and ramp back down, and you might come out of it because you're done for that training session or that round, or you might be doing another round of PAILs rails, but that is a stretch with one round of PAILs rails, depending on what your training program looks like that day. But over time, you should be able to sink a little bit deeper in the stretch, tolerate more intensity, contract a little bit more intensely, and feel like you are making a lot of gains in your shoulder extension mobility.